Thank you for joining Molly Lowe and Jen Carpenter for the Sweet and Sassy Show podcast. This is episode 11, and we're talking about today reciprocity and integrity with yourself. So, we'll talk about things like what are you saying to yourself when you're struggling, and what is your self talk like? I work with business owners and their employees to empower and protect them for everyday life events, to be well prepared for the unexpected and save money on affordable legal services, have resources personally and professionally to deal with all the things we don't expect to happen in life, and to live a more safe and secure, just life, honestly. And also, I'm most passionate about my Mind Flow Mastery coaching. I have a 3 to 6 month one-to-one coaching program and weekly accountability group, so you can get your mind in flow and keep your life and your business in flow by not allowing your past experiences or your current circumstances to define your current reality. Molly Lowe, LinkedIn business queen, as she says.
So true, so true. Hi everyone, Molly Law, LinkedIn business coach extraordinaire or queen. Pick and choose what rings best for you. I work with coaches and online service providers to help you to optimize and monetize your LinkedIn presence through lead generation, attraction marketing, and in-mail sales sequencing.
Excellent. And just because you're doing this event right now, can you just share a little bit? You have a monthly event that you have. I just want to have you throw that in there since we were talking about it
Yes,
coming up
thank
next time.
you. Yes. So I actually have my 5 day LinkedIn challenge that happens on a monthly basis. So of course we had to move some things around due to holidays and what have you, right? But we do have one happening now, and then of course for the month of October, which I don't have the dates up because I closed
That's
out
right.
my calendar, but but it's happening in October. You will see that all plastered around. And the whole intention of the 5 day LinkedIn challenge is to give you a completely elevated LinkedIn strategy, especially if you're in business, to help you find, attract, and convert those connections into paying clients. So if you need a LinkedIn strategy, join my 5 day LinkedIn challenge.
Excellent. Since we're on the topic, I also have a monthly no cost event on the fourth Tuesday of every month I call Mind Flow Mastery. We're currently going through the 12 powers we hold within. We're on the third round of 3 powers. So it's just a space again for like-minded people to kind of clear out your mind at the end of the month and start fresh with some new actionable items in the new month, all around keeping your mind in check, your mentality to do all you're set out to do as a business owner, as a parent, as a friend, as a wife, as a family member, as whatever it is, all the people we show up as each day. So we'll have the links probably in the description or in the comments when we share this. This video will come out by October 11th, the second Friday of every month, and this is episode 11. So my first thought was reciprocity requires intention and integrity for yourself and others. So, if you, for example, set realistic expectations for yourself and honor your commitments, like even if when you're talking about like referral partnerships, maybe you don't always have a direct client introduction or referral for somebody, but have the intention that you can do that, someone has probably done a lot for you. Have reciprocity in your business. We could talk about family too, whatever, about, having the same intention. Maybe you can't always make a referral, but you know that that person, if they came across the right client, that they would have intentions to make that introduction, and actually do it, have the same have the same intention that you would for others. So, do what you say you're going to do, honor your commitments. If you're going to do something, have a system in place to make it happen, schedule it, put it on your calendar. If you say you're going to introduce somebody to someone, write it down, make it happen. I also, too, with some things, I usually say I'll do that within 48 hours because sometimes I can't get to it by the end of the day. There's other things where, like, if I'm talking to somebody on a Monday, I'll tell them, depending on what it is, I'll have that to you by end of week. I know in my own system and process that I want to be realistic about my expectations so I can make that happen. When it comes to like social things too, this is something I learned, you basically, oh, can you come to this party? You have 2 commitments. You could say, Oh, I really can't do that instead of being like wishy-washy about it. I really can't do that. I won't be able to be there, but if something changes, I'll let you know. Versus trying to make these over commitments that are not realistic expectations. So, having good intentions to have reciprocity in your business with your family or friends. And yeah, make realistic expectations, honor your commitments, do what the heck you say you're going to do. That is like the biggest pet peeve I have is when people do not do what they say they're going to do. Go ahead, Molly.
Amen to that. And I think that, to your point, I think that there's grace in us being human and being imperfect and we're making mistakes, right? But even that, it's owning up to that, like, my bad, totally flopped or forgot or whatever,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
it says a lot about your integrity. And
Yes.
what I also want to shine light on too is your own integrity with yourself in addition to people, right? And now,
Yeah.
as I was just sharing with you, I worked with an amazing business coach, David Nagel, which many of you probably have heard, know of him. And I was a part of his 1090 group where it was all about commitment to yourself. And he really taught me that it was through all of the years, over and over, where we break our integrity with ourselves. We break the commitments that we make for ourselves. And it's interesting because I see this play out even with my clients now as I'm helping them to do lead generation on LinkedIn, right? If you're gonna say that you're gonna do lead generation on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, but then you end up not doing it, you're going to make yourself feel not the greatest because you're like, oh shoot, I said I was gonna do it, but then I didn't do it, and then it becomes all these like things that happen, and that's that little voice in your head. Your ego will want to take hold, and it's gonna make you feel shame and guilt, and
Yep.
you're gonna now feel like, okay,
Yep.
great, now I gotta catch up, right? So I think a lot of this is such an important key topic to talk about because yes, it's about saying what you're saying you're going to do for others especially, but also for yourself. And I
Totally.
think that that's one of the big key components that we overlook is what promises are you saying to yourself? What commitments are you making for yourself, whether it's in your personal life, in your business, right? How are you showing up the way that you want to uphold the integrity of those commitments for you?
Yep. Who you are anywhere is who you are everywhere, right?
Amen to that.
It goes along with you talked about like blame and criticism, and part of the like negative influences that I teach too has to do with the disappointment piece. You know, you'll get disappointed in yourself, and that's where that negative self-talk comes in. Um, so let's go to that. Well, yeah, basically that has to do with it. We tend to um make the choices we make or allow those negative influences to creep in based on past experiences. I'm trying to get away from the words negative, positive, but unfavorable past experiences, the former programs that are playing in your head that define, the subconscious mind that defines and contribute to the thoughts we have, which contribute to the choices that we make. And it has to do with those other experiences, judgment, blame, criticism, disappointment, um, conformity to doing what other people what you think you should do based off of what other people do. So those are the kinds of things that it takes awareness of when you really dive deep at you. I always say, what's really going on? When we have the negative thoughts that come in, or we're like, oh, it's the bad date experience, I'm not desirable because this person didn't like me and that date didn't go well. That's one of the kind of examples that I use. Or a bad experience in your business that, I tried this and it didn't work out. As long as you look at everything as a lesson learned, you can actually do no wrong. So when you look at everything as a lesson learned, you learn from all those experiences and it makes you greater. Everybody knows that greatness lies on the other side of your lowest points and the most difficult times in your life, and the beauty's on the other side of that. You just have to get through the mud and the muck otherwise. um yeah, and you learn and grow from those experiences. So, doing something in your business that doesn't work, it's not a failure. It's actually going to be a success. You might have a bajillion failures and then the biggest success ever. So kind of not exactly what I planned to go with on that, but I like how this is flowing. past experiences, and the action item. I would just say making a different choice. You have to be aware of the thought. The thought creates the feeling, and then it decides. It's the choice and the decision that we make. So when you're super clear on what you want and what your intention is, and you have integrity with yourself, then you have to make choices and decisions that are aligned with your values and your goals. What's important to you. You can't let the negative influences stand in your way, and those unfavorable past experiences or your current circumstances to define your reality. So you make the choices that you make based off of the moment to moment choices you make. So you have to have a way to shift your mind, reframe the thought, and make a different choice that doesn't fall back into those pre-programmed experiences that are typically leading our conscious mind. You have to have that awareness and know how to shift it and be able to shift to a better choice.
I love that. I love that. In hearing you say that, I'm reminded, right, of the saying that you don't have to believe everything that your brain's telling you. You don't have to
Oh
think
yeah.
everything, right? You don't have to believe everything that voice is telling you. And
Oh yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think that there's always a time and a place for things such as hesitation and fear and worry, right? Like if there's a big black bear chasing you, run, haul ass. Like
Yeah.
don't stand there, right?
Yep.
Like get out of the way. But I think that, to your point, it's the increasing a person's self-awareness. When you surround yourself with other more aware people, it's going to help you to discern whether or not this is a fear that is perceived, that's been made up, right? That is a false sense of using your imagination to create that, like, oh my gosh, like, is this really going to happen? Like, what if situations? And also, what you said about the decisions, I love that. I always say to my clients, unless the decision, hopefully, right, doesn't lead you to your ultimate demise where you can't wake up again, right? Your life really is just a compilation of decisions. It
Uh-huh.
really is. It's just
100%.
one decision on top of the next, on top of the next, on top of the next. But you have to honor yourself in this. This is that integrity with yourself of, I wake up every day recommitting to my business. I wake up every day saying, all right, this is what I'm going to decide that this is for me. We were just having this conversation. I tried something new with my marketing, which was completely different for my what I'm accustomed to and doing
Yes.
for my 5-day LinkedIn challenge. I was like,
Yes.
I'm just going to reach out to my people. Like, what's the point? And it was just a decision, right? It doesn't have to be that way. You have the ability to make that decision, to change your mind, to make another decision, and that's all life is. And I think, full circle, this is the reason why when you surround yourself and submit yourself to the learnings that Jen is amazing at teaching when it comes to a mindset perspective, that's going to increase your awareness. That's going to help you to realize, like, oh, okay, it's my perception of how I'm
Yes.
receiving my situation, right? It's how
Yes.
my reality. We're not saying that life is gonna be all, roses and sunshines and rainbows over here, but it's how you
Correct.
perceive it, right? And it requires the strengthening of your awareness and your mindset in order to know how to do that. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, that's the importance of it, for sure.
Strengthening your mental muscle to make empowered and aligned decisions more often, definitely.
Yes.
And uh you said something else, but either way, having fear in the example that I've learned recently is like it's just a smoke alarm going off. So some things we tell ourselves are an emergency and they're really not. Or like you said, if there's a bear in the woods, run. If something is uncomfortable and scary, it's okay. It's okay. You just have to kind of take a moment and decide and then go with the flow and go with what your intuition tells you what is right. It happens several times a day, I'm sure, where you have to make a decision and you have to think to yourself, does this align with my values? Does this align with my goals? Or doing things that are easier and more comfortable sometimes, are tend to be the easier choice. It's not an easy choice. Well, what we tell ourselves is difficult. And it is possible to shift it though and be like, well, maybe you think it's difficult or it's scary or you have fear. But sometimes it's just because we tell ourselves that it is. It might be a little bit scary, but actually the options that you have, sometimes you have more control than you realize. And um, even though it's scary, you can still be empowered to make those decisions. And that actually leads to this next part. Um, well, actually, yeah. So speak kindly to yourself when you're in, challenging situations. What would you say to yourself? Would you say what you say? What is your self-talk like? Would you say it to your best friend? Molly brought up, would you say something like that to your client? Um, a lot of it comes up with like your business, like you might think, I'm not good enough for this, or I'm not capable. There's times where I let things get in the way about maybe I'm not a good mother for doing this or that. Comes up quite a bit. Um, when you have difficult situations, don't, for one, the negative self-talk, you have to have things in place to shift it into what I usually use is positive affirmations. I am statements. I'm strong, confident, and powerful. I am extremely resilient. Those types of things. Affirmations have gratitude. I'm actually super grateful for this challenge. It's going to make me a better person, or you have gratitude for other past experiences that you have had success and accomplishments. You use those past experiences to remind yourself of what you're capable of. So, first of all, you have to have a way to shift it. But then also, don't beat yourself up about it. Have love and compassion for yourself. This was a big piece that really stood out to me when I learned all of this, is to not be so hard on yourself. I tend to be, and I had in the past, many people tend to be very hard on themselves. I realized even in the past 3 months that I have a very, very strong perfectionist piece and like where that comes from. That, I know I'm not perfect, but I had to look like really closely at where that perfectionism was coming from. And it actually went hand in hand with control. Losing control of like having health issues, things like that since I was 16. I took control in other areas of my life unconsciously, and also not necessarily other people, but it kind of relates to that too. I was always a bossy little girl. I was always a bossy little girl. And in the PT world, I literally tell people what to do all day long. I talk all day long and I tell people what to do all day long. But like basically, not not being too hard on yourself, the perfectionism piece, being able to be aware of kind of where that comes from and the fact that you don't have to have control over everything, you don't have to be perfect. As long as you're doing your best and looking at everything as a lesson learned, you really can do no wrong. So you can't beat yourself up about things when things don't go as planned, when things don't go as expected, whether it's business or personal. I did not expect my marriage to go the way that it did. Subconsciously, I knew one day it might, but 18 years, I didn't know what I didn't know. So those are huge pieces right there.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that. And one of the things that I say to my clients all the time, right? Go in with positive intention
Mhm.
while letting go of any specific expectation. And that
Regardless of
is
the
just,
outcome. Yep.
yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, you're setting yourself up literally for failure and for that little voice that's your biggest critic to just be like, oh, and you should have done that, and look at see, and all, and and so, but if you go in this perspective of like, I'm doing my best, and I am exactly where I need to be, creating exactly what I need to be creating, and being the beingness, right?
Ah,
Like, who are
yes.
you becoming?
Being, just
Yeah.
being. Yep.
It's the beingness. Like, who are you becoming on this journey?
In
Are
the
you
process.
proud? Yeah. Are you proud of saying, like, this is who I'm becoming and this is who I want to be? Then you're already winning. You are already winning.
It's all about who you become in the process. Um, you said something and I was going to piggyback on it. Well, either way, the action item is celebrate your wins and always look at your past successes. Remind yourself, this is what I've overcome. Oh, doing the best you can with the information you have at that time. And even with like what I teach in the beginning of my program is all about how we perceive information. It's how we intake all of the information that's presented to us. But yeah, look at all you've overcome before, remind yourself you're capable. Um, and yeah, it's your perception of your reality. So, everything is a lesson learned. And as long as you look at it that way, you really can do no wrong and you're learning and growing in the process always. So I think this was a better brief episode today. The past couple were a little over 20 minutes. So we will leave it at that today. Please connect with Molly Lowe on LinkedIn and Lotus Mentoring everywhere. And Jen Carpenter, I'm also Secure and Savvy Solutions everywhere. Please subscribe to our YouTube channels, and look out for the next video. It always comes out by the second Friday of every month. We go through different topics about women and entrepreneurship, families, business, sales, all different topics around, keeping your mentality in check to do all you're set out to do as a business owner and living your life, your fullest life with the greatest potential possible. So thanks for tuning in. We'll see you all next time.